Hey everybody, I hope you're hanging in there. We're taking a look at the third part of 4 in Unit 2, solving exponential equations with logs. We have talked about exponential functions and then we've been talking about logarithmic functions, and now we're going to use logs to help solve exponentials. And then our last little bit is just solving exponentials using those exponent rules we learned in the last unit. So what we're asking for here is just to take a look at this initial equation. So can we use the properties of exponents to solve 2 to the x equals 15? Well, all the things we've talked about with exponent rules have been when the base works, for lack of a better word. So if I did 2 to the first power, that would give me 2. 2 to the second gives me 4. 2 to the third gives me 8. 2 to the fourth gives me 16. Alright, so at that point I know 15 isn't a exponent. It isn't going to be an answer for 2 to a power. So we can't solve it using exponents. So in that case, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and solve it using logs. Alright, so we said when we would go back and forth between log form and exponential form, the base would stay the same and the other two would change places. So log base 2 of 15 equals x. So the calculator only takes common logs. It doesn't take, so it only takes logs with a base of 10. This one doesn't have a base of 10. So we need to use our change of base formula. And for that one, the shortcut is to the change of base formula, the base goes on the bottom of the fraction. So it's going to be log of 15 over log of 2. And that's going to equal x. And so you can use Desmos, you can use the calculator on your phone. If you turn it sideways, all that extra stuff will pop out and you'll have the other features. If you're using Desmos, I'm using the scientific one, you can still get at this from the graphing calculator as well. If you hit functions, you get a whole bunch of extra stuff, and then right here is log. Alright, so we're going to do log of 15 divided by, oops, so this is a big, can be an issue. You got to make sure that you're closing your parentheses after that log, or what's going to happen is what just happened to me. It tried to put it inside those parentheses. Alright, and then we're going to do log of 2. Close it out, and there we go. We get 3.906. Two decimal places is usually sufficient, so we're going to have 3.91 as our x. Alright, so just to recap what we did, we wrote it in log form. And then we used our change of base formula. And if you're going, what's the change of base formula? Go back and look at 2.1. Okay, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much all we're going to be doing with these equations, is just solving them in this method. Alright, so for number 1, we first need to write it in log form. So it'll be log base 5 of 50 equals x. And then we need to use our change of base formula. So log of 50 over log of 5, because the base needs to go on the bottom of the fraction. And then just mash your buttons. So we have log of 50. Make sure you get out of those parentheses before you hit the division sign. And then divided by log of 5. And that's going to give us 2.43. Alright, and that's it. We're good. So if you think you've got it and you want to jump ahead and just fast forward and check your answer, that is totally fine. So writing this in log form, be log of 1.5 or log base 1.5 of 20 equals x. Change of base formula is log of 20 over log of 1.5. That's going to give us x. And then just mash your buttons. Use your calculator. Use whatever. So log of 20. Get out of there before you hit division. And then log of 1.5. Alright, we end up with 7.39 when we round that off. Alright, so for the last couple, I do make it slightly harder. What you have to look for these, if you notice, they're not straight exponential form. They all have numbers out in front of them. So we need to get rid of that before we can use our change of base formula. So that's 10 times 2 to the x. So we're going to divide by 10. We're going to do the opposite. So we have 2 to the x equals 25. And then from here, write it as a log. So log base 2 of 25 equals x. And then use your change of base formula. Log of 25 over log of 2. All right, and we end up with 4.64 on that one. All right, this next one is, again, more of the same. It's just going to be a little stickier because it's not going to come out quite so nice when we divide. So we're going to divide by 50 to start, because it's 50 times the 0.5 to the power of x, so we need to get rid of that. So that's going to give us 0.5x equals 4.5. All right, so next step is to write it as a log. And then jump to our change of base. All right, and then last, just punch it in the calculator. Okay, we get negative 2.17, and that's it. So this one is pretty short. It'll be a little more complicated on the last video when we're talking about solving using exponentials, but this is it. And then we're going to be winding down. We have just one more unit to go after this, and then we're going to be wrapping things up. So if you have, as always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email or a Canvas message, and we'll go from there. Have a good day, y'all.